2nd of December, 2025. And that means I'm here to talk to you about things. So, what is happening with the Trump Israel Hamas plan? And is it viewed as the laughingstock by the Arab leaders of the Arab countries of the world? And my argument, my position is that yes, it is. Not just the laughingstock, but it is a very specific type of move in a long, long dance that goes way back before Trump was ever a politician, way back before Obama, George W. Bush, Barack Obama. Did I say Barack Obama twice? Bill Clinton, George Bush before him, Ronald Reagan before him. Goes back many decades. This particular move of trying to negotiate a peace between the Arabs living in Judea and Samaria and Gaza and Israel is something that has been long established as the sort of only way forward. This idea of a negotiated peace settlement between two sides. And it makes sense from a logical, rational point of view if you have a certain perspective, whereas it does not make sense if you have a logical, rational view from a different perspective. The thing is, people have long said, the majority of people who have paid any attention to this issue have long said, oh, the only way forward is a two-state solution. But the truth is, that is not the only solution. For example, people have lived here before Israel was reestablished in 1948. And there were people living here of different religions, and they did not always live in peace and always live in war. Sometimes they had peace, sometimes they had war. Sometimes they had violent pogroms, sometimes they didn't. This land has been conquered and been subject to violence for thousands and thousands of years. Those are just historical facts. You can't really argue with that. These are things recorded by historians on all sides. Whether you agree with some or not is moot. Right? Historians on all sides have documented violence in this region for eons. And you can pretend and make believe in your head whatever you want, which doesn't adhere to facts, but the record shows, not just with documents, but historical, physical, archaeological evidence that we see. Hello there. What do you... Hey, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Yes, I will check out your channel. And if you got good stuff there, I will certainly subscribe, obviously. I will return the favor gladly. And I thank you for your support. So yeah, anybody else who's watching this, please like and subscribe to this channel. Appreciate it very much. Helps the channel grow and all that stuff. Really do appreciate it. So back to the topic. The people who have been suggesting that a two-state solution is the only way forward have overlooked the fact that for thousands of years, there was no two-state solution here. Whoever conquered this land, whoever ruled this land, ruled this land. We didn't have to divide it into two. It's one piece of land between the river and the sea, as so many people like to say. Funny thing is, most people don't even know what river and what sea. Just to be clear, the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. If you're not aware, well, now you know. So, what are other solutions? Well, there's often been talk of, well, a one-state solution again. where everybody would live under one state. Call it Israel, call it Palestine, call it blue fairies. I don't really care. One state where everybody lives together in peace. But in order to do that, you have to have all the parties willing to live together in peace, right? For the most part, or ideally, absolutely everybody, and put aside this notion of we have to dominate with force and violence. But if you have even a significant minority who are zealously using violence, not just to try to overthrow whoever's currently in charge of the land, by fighting against their military, and they're willing to actually intentionally target innocent people who have nothing to do with the fighting, well, that's a problem that needs to be dealt with. Typically, the only way to really deal with that with any success, unfortunately, is by using some measure of force, in addition to diplomacy, negotiations, etc., to end the violence permanently. So that is one particular option. There are other ideas, by the way, which have been suggested. There are plans to have the Palestinians rule themselves in something similar to how the United Arab Emirates works. We have small cantons or areas, mini states, whatever you want to call them, each ruled by separate clans or feudal systems that they have. And that is another functioning model that could work in theory. But again, even for that, you would need to have the vast overwhelming majority of those people support such a plan. And many of them currently do not. Right? The majority of the people that call themselves Palestinians since the last 50 years, they want to take over all of what is Israel because they refuse to accept Jewish rule, Jewish majority rule in Israel. They refuse that there is a thing called Israel. That is the problem. The logic is broken when they say, yes, but the Jews in Israel are not from there. I would say, okay, even if you're right, I don't agree that you are, but even if you are right, that doesn't eliminate the fact that Israel is currently here and does rule over this land. And the people who are being ruled over kind of have to accept that. The same way that Jews had to accept when we were not in charge of this land for almost 2,000 years. So those are a couple of the potential solutions that people have put forth that are different from the two-state solution, right? My particular take, not that it's really relevant, but my particular take is all of this land is Israel. But that doesn't mean that people of different faiths or ethnicities or even made up nationalities that are now, what they've been considered to be their nationality by themselves and by those who support them, they should all live in Israel. And they should all, have rights and legal status, etc. That doesn't mean we all vote in the same elections, right? That would mean that Israelis vote for Israeli elections and Palestinians vote for Palestinian elections, and Palestinians can govern in their own areas, and Israelis can govern in our own areas. But the thing is, it cannot be that we have one set of laws in Israel that grants us equal rights, non-discrimination, free speech, freedom of religion, etc., etc. But in the Palestinian territories, they literally have apartheid against each other and against people who aren't people who are specifically Jewish, right? Like there are no Jews allowed to live in Palestinian areas. Until that changes, until the hate dies from the ones who are in charge of the Palestinian leadership, who are causing this problem and keeping the world from seeing peace here established, this conflict will go on, sadly. Yes, Allah Akbar, indeed. God is great, no problem. We say that in Hebrew too. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys in this short walk and talk. I'll be back in a little bit. But for now, I wish you all well, peace. Where am I right now? Yeah, no, I don't think I'll be able to continue this. We'll talk.